There's no delicate way to say this, so I'm going to just put it very boldly and bluntly. If you find yourself not being able to prioritize the things that are a priority for you, the change you want won't happen. You have got to, without a doubt, make yourself priority number one on your list if you want to achieve the things you want. So when people tell me that they don't have time to do the art, to write the book, to sew, to do whatever creative things nourishes their soul, this is a very complicated and complex thing, but it can be untangled by pulling at a few strings. And I want to share those strings with you today. So the first string is, where's your time going? Whose priorities are dictating your time? And I do want to add a caveat here. There are times and seasons in our lives where somebody else's well-being becomes priority number one. It has to. So for example, you may be the mother of a newborn. You may have a new puppy. You may have your husband being incredibly ill. You may have children transitioning from middle school to seniors, high school. You may have them transitioning to college and actually leaving the nest. These seasons are where other people's priorities become your priorities because it's part of your identity, right? However, we're not talking about those. We are talking about the day-to-day times where you choose to do something for somebody else over choosing to do the thing you really want to do for yourself. We have so much programming about selfishness, about being a martyr. That's basically what we're being taught to do, especially as women. We are taught to put everybody else as a priority above ourselves. That kind of program needs to be untangled. You need to be able to see a priority for what it is and choose where it'll be on your list. So there are questions to ask yourself. In this priority, is this something I can outsource? I can't tell you how many times the women that I work with never think about outsourcing the things that they don't want to do, that they don't want to have fill up their time. Patriarchal programming plays an enormous part in this. As women, we are expected and conditioned to tend to everybody else first. We are shifting that narrative, and you have to change it if you want to have a life that fulfills you as much as everybody else. This is the sort of thing that I find complicated to untangle on my own. And I have found with my own clients and with the people I've got coaching from, it is so much easier to have somebody else look at it from a different viewpoint for you, because you can't read the label when you're in the jar. This is how your life has always been, it's hard to see where the thinking errors are. But it can be untangled, and you must, if you want to live a life that feels fully you, where you become your number one priority. And let me tell you, when you do that, everybody else benefits because you have more energy. You are less crabby. You are feeling fulfilled. And therefore, there's less resentment. There's less miserableness. You have the capacity to bring others up with you. There's a term in psychology called learned helplessness. There are studies done where they can teach an animal learned helplessness. The most famous one, and it still happens today, is that a very small elephant will have a rope around his leg and tied to a stake in the ground that he cannot pull him away from, right? So he is tethered to this stake in the ground. He learns that if he's tethered to a stake in the ground, he cannot pull himself away. And that learned helplessness stays with him until he's an adult. So a small little rope round the leg of a gigantic animal will keep him in place because he believes that that stake is stronger than he is. I find learned helplessness everywhere in myself and in my clients. And what happens, and it's so devious, is that we start to think it's an identity. We start to believe that it's part of us. And it needs to be untangled because what you want is often on the side of your current identity. Who you're being now is not the same as who you'll be when you have achieved whatever that goal is that you're after. And sometimes there's some learned helplessness. Oh, I can't do that, is a really good tell, a very interesting cue to examine why you believe you can't do that. It's not to say that there won't be legit reasons, but legit reasons can also benefit from a fresh perspective. I don't have the money. That's a legit thing if you're looking at a really scarce bank account. But I don't have the time is another one that we lean into. And both of them you can get creative about solutions. It depends so much on the perspective that you come at the untangling from. When you decide that at the end of this, you will find ways to prioritize yourself at least a bit in each day, that perspective offers you opportunities and possibilities that you can't see when you believe that it's not possible. Making yourself priority number one in your life, at least for a part of every day, is going to change everything. I have seen it in countless of my clients and students. I am living proof. If you're ready to be the leading lady of your own life, I am the coach for you. Get in touch. Let's untangle this together and watch you soar.